If you're an aspiring bodybuilder and you're just starting your journey to the stage, this is the video for you. I'm giving you guys my 5 tips on things you need to do when you start your bodybuilding career. Number 1, learn to properly train. Bodybuilding is muscle hypertrophy over and over and over again. When we're talking about building muscle, the word PR should not be in your vocabulary. It's fine here and there to have some PRs, but we want to make sure that we're building muscle the most efficient way because you're doing this thing for a long time. If you're just starting your journey, this is a marathon, not a sprint. Learning how to train properly is going to give you longevity in the sport. It's going to give you the physique that you want, and you're not going to waste any time doing things that aren't going to get you to your muscular goals. Number 2, do your research on the sport. Honestly, for me, I don't know why it is, but for me, this is a big thing for me, is understanding the sport, the background. I'm not saying you have to go and do a massive history lesson, but you should at least know how bodybuilding started. Who are your icons that you should look at and know? You know, understanding the judging, the classes, knowing the classes that you want to be in, and knowing the past competitors. Understanding the sport, I find, gives me a better overall appreciation of the sport itself. I like bodybuilding, and I like it even more because I know of its past and its rich traditions in terms of posing, dieting, the whole mental aspect of being very regimented. Do your research in the sport. Honestly, if you're a sports fan, I promise you, you know about some past greats. You definitely know about some of the greats in the sport that you like, from athletes you probably never able to actually watch, but you do know some of those greats. For me, knowing the sport, knowing its history, knowing about the leaders, knowing about your first icons and how the sport kind of, manifested into what it is today, understanding different classes and where the classes came from, it helped me, especially when it came to posing. Because when it came to posing, I learned that those 4-quarter turns that they were doing from the start are their main poses, and every pose comes off of those 4-quarter turns. So for me, my success from bodybuilding came from a lot of doing research and understanding bodybuilding's rich history, the past athletes, and it gave me that sense of appreciation for the sport itself, and it made me want to be like those greats. Understand the sport, know the sport, do your history. Number 3, give yourself some time. Don't start bodybuilding and hire a coach to do your first show 12 weeks out. You're gonna set yourself up for failure. Give yourself time. Pick a date. I would say start your career in an off season. Give yourself at least a year to grow, to learn how to pose. Give yourself time to grow, to build those muscle weaknesses, or to make sure you're growing into the class that you're trying to get into. Give yourself time to learn how to pose. So when your diet actually starts, so when your prep actually starts, you're not trying to learn how to pose and put on muscle at the same time. Starting the off season gives you more time to actually adhere to a diet. Now in the off season, you're not dieting strict, but at least you're starting to be regimented, starting to understand your meals, meal timings and whatnot. You start creating those good habits in the off season. Give yourself time. Prepping for the first show, trying to lose weight, trying to build muscle, trying to learn how to pose, all those things within 12 to 16 weeks. Only a few people can actually do that and actually succeed. But for the majority of people, you're setting yourself up for failure. Give yourself some time. And check it out, if you're looking for a contest prep coach, my contest prep packages are available. Check the link in the description below. Back to the show. 4, have a job outside of bodybuilding. Make sure you're making money that's continuously helping you increase your overall revenue, your overall income. Bodybuilding, it is not cheap. You're looking at your first show, you're gonna spend anything for men between $1,000 to $3,000. And I'm talking about a local show. If you're doing a local show and you're a male, so let me show you exactly how expensive it is for just a male. Your registration is gonna be between $100 to $150. Your membership is gonna be between $100 to $150. Your tan is gonna be between $100 to $150. The food that you're gonna buy for your carbing up and all those things is gonna be around probably $100 minimum dollars. And then guess what? You're probably going to go to the host hotel. You might. If you do, even for just one night, you're over $1,000. Guess what? Forgot about posing trunks. Your first show, posing trunks, need them? Guess what? That's already included. It's $1,000. I'm talking just to compete. I'm not talking about the weeks before that and your diet. I'm not talking about the weeks before that and how much it might cost you for maybe a coach, definitely all your food. And if you're doing this enhanced, you're spending a lot of money. The only difference between women is that when they do their actual show, they have their hair, makeup, and all that stuff as well too. And they're spending at least $300 just on that stuff. Make sure you're making money. Make sure you can afford to actually do this sport. Do not start the sport and you can't afford it, because you'll be left broke. Make sure you put your finances first. And number 5, seek guidance of some sort. And this brings back to make sure you can afford the sport. When it comes down to it, every single sport, if you want to call this a sport, we have to measure it up to other sports. Every other sport has coaches, head coaches, positional coaches, whatever coaches, they have coaches. Why? Because every athlete needs guidance, way, shape, or form, or some level. Even your professional, LeBron James has a coach. Now, it could be a coach, you know, you can read up on some things. I'm gonna be straight up and bold with you. I'm gonna be completely bold with you. If you're starting this sport, you're going to need guidance. I get hired sometimes. I started turning it down, but I used to get hired the last 6 weeks for a show or for peak week. The person who can do it on their own does everything, and all of a sudden they're like, what do I do for peak week? So you're gonna need to have some type of guidance. So when it comes down to it, you gotta be able to afford this sport to be able to do it. But that is my advice. If you're getting into the sport, do those 5 things, and we can start there, progress from there, and then we can talk about the next things to do once your career is actually rolling. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Until next time, you know how it is. Iron sharpens iron. Progressive overload your life. In the meantime, keep dream chasing.